The theme tonight, I decided to talk about attachment a little bit. In Buddhism, attachment is a huge, huge thing, and it's the reason for all suffering, all suffering. And a lot of people wonder, they often wonder how true that is, based on, based on the Buddhist teachings. The Buddha said, from the teachings of the Four Noble Truths, that we suffer, and that can be different degrees of suffering. That could be a little bit of stress to full-blown not wanting to live, so there's lots of degrees of suffering, called dukkha in the Pali language. And dukkha is really like more of a stress. It's related more to stress than anything else. Dukkha is translated as an annoyance rather than like pain or the agony of life, and I mean in a severe depression kind of thing. So the Buddha said that we do have this suffering, and to take it a step further, he said that the suffering is not only related to this lifetime, but all lifetimes, past lives and future lives. And his plan was to not have these rebirths. He was born a Hindu, and basically all Eastern traditions back when in the Buddha's day were based on being reborn or rebirth. Interesting. And most of the people were Hindu at that time. And then there was some lots of shamanistic traditions and religions and that kind of thing. But particularly in Asia, the ruling, 2,600 years ago, the religion of the time was Hinduism. And Hinduism is very, very old. It's some of the early recordings are more than 5,000 years old. So it's been around. It's by far the oldest religion, documented, recorded religion that there is. And the Hindu religion is very much a part of being reborn or a rebirth, that kind of thing. And the Buddha was no exception. He believed that, his family believed that, he was born into that. And so whether we believe it or not, it is kind of the backbone, one of the principal parts of Buddhism. But the neat thing is, a person doesn't have to believe in rebirth to be a Buddhist, or to be like a Buddhist type of meditator. And so the Buddha said that we suffer not only in this lifetime, probably in the past life and in future lives, and his idea was to stop that perpetual rebirth. So his question was, how is that done? And to stop being reborn again is stop the intention or the desire for the attachment to things that causes rebirth. So it's very, very subtle. When we die, if we die with the feeling that something isn't complete, that we haven't finished something, or that there's more, we will be reborn again. It's just that simple. That intention is that strong, and when we die, everything becomes very, very subtle. If we can imagine that, like when we become enlightened, we become an arhat. That means that there is no longer that karma, and no longer that intention that is created for another rebirth from us. There's no reason to come back because there's no karma created. There's no karma to basically take care of. There's no karma that goes from one lifetime to the next, because an arhat, somebody that is fully enlightened, doesn't have that complexity of the mind where that karma is able to follow from one life to the next. It's just not there. So right now, as sentient beings, we have karma that we're working with. Some of us have more karma than different types of karma, or more karma or less karma, but it's there. And basically, when we're on a spiritual journey, our job is to understand that, first of all. That's the second of the Four Noble, or the first of the Four Noble Truths, the skillful understanding. And to understand that we can eliminate this karma. It's not necessarily important that we work at and trying to eliminate all of our karma right now, but it's more important that we don't create the new karma. So that when we do die, there isn't that tendency for that karma to create the next life. And so it's said that we don't go on to the next life, this body or this mind, but just the karma. The karma is enough to create that next life. And so that's kind of the spiritual aspect of Buddhism, almost the religious aspect in a way, because that's a belief that is very much a part of the Buddhist tradition. Like I said before, though, you don't have to have that belief in order to be spiritual, or to be a Buddhist, or to be a meditator in the Vipassana tradition, for example. So the Buddha said we suffer because of our desires or our attachments. He said that there is a way out of that suffering, and that is through the practice of the Eightfold Path. And actually, we're here practicing it right now. We're doing probably different, or we're probably working at skillful understanding, which is the very first of the Eightfold Path, and skillful mindfulness when we do our meditation, skillful concentration as well, and as well as skillful effort. The effort of meditation. It is an effort to get here and to do the practice. So we're doing a huge chunk of the Eightfold Path, just right now by being here. I'm practicing skillful speech as best I can, skillful action, and skillful thought or skillful thinking is a big part of it too. And that is, when we get done meditating, we will be doing a little bit of a loving kindness, and that's actually a part of skillful thought, along with skillful compassion. And the big one is letting go, which is skillful thinking. Now, if that doesn't sound all too complex, the reason I say that letting go is one of the big ones is because that's the direct opposite of attachment, is the letting go. And so when we go back to this life, and us going from this life to the next life, in the area of our attachments, these attachments are our karma. The way to eliminate this karma is to let go of our attachments. But we have to let go of it in a very healthy way, because most of these things cannot just be let go of, because they'll come right back at us. And we've all experienced that. We let go of things when we're not ready to let go of them. It's like dropping that fancy handkerchief with our initials embroidered on the corner. Sure, I can let go of that. But then, we come back and we pick it up and go, yeah, that was pretty, I can't let that go. So we have to have, we really have to have the acceptance of the fact that that it should be ready to let go. The timing has to be right. We have to accept the fact that we are going to go through life without any of these attachments before we can even attempt to let them go. And so attachment is karma, big part of karma, if not the entire, thing. The way we can let go of this karma is to let go, period. And we have to accept the fact that we are ready to do it. I've met a few people that are interested in meditation. They're interested in a spiritual path. They're interested in renouncing certain aspects of their life. In other words, being able to let go of certain things in their life, such as things that aren't healthy, maybe addictions or too many pleasurable things like food or relationships of some sort, that kind of thing. But they weren't really quite accepting of the fact that they're ready to make that change in life. And the change that I was asking them to do was quite simple, which was a daily practice in meditation. And if a person is ready to make a change in their life, they should be ready to not only break the old habits, but doing that by incorporating a new habit. And that new habit is a very wholesome practice of meditation. It's very easy and it's very simple, and it's a little time consuming, but not too bad, really. If it's funny, you ask somebody to meditate for 15 or 20 minutes a day, and usually, if you explain it that it's just 15 or 20 minutes a day, yeah, I can do that. But then pretty soon, for a lot of people, all of a sudden the day's done and they realize they haven't meditated. They're getting ready for bed and they go, I haven't meditated today. And then they go, well, I'll do it tomorrow, And the old saying, tomorrow never comes, in a way, that's true. But if we say that again and again, I'll do it tomorrow, and that's sometimes what happens when we ask ourselves to do something, on a consistent basis, like meditation. And so how does meditation help us learn to let go? How does it help us to first accept and then to let go of these attachments? Again, we have to realize what we're letting go of, and it is the things that are sticky in our life. And first, we have to recognize those things. What is so sticky that is causing us problems in life? First of all, we have to look at what we consider a problem or a difficulty for us. And when we look at that from the deepest and sometimes very subtle standpoint, we can see that it is related to an attachment that we have. We're unable to let go of something. It could be a person, a place, or a thing. And more so, it's probably an idea that causes a feeling inside of us. And so probably the hardest thing to let go of for all of us is a feeling, some particular feeling that we have. And oftentimes it's the feeling of control, that we want to be in control. And ultimately, if we can let go of that attachment, then the rest of them kind of fall to the wayside very easily. And so I'm not going to assume that we all have the attachment of control, but I will ask all of us to take a look at that tonight. Do we want control of something or somebody or ourselves? Control is a feeling that we have. And a lot of times if we lose something, any kind of loss, there's a feeling of loss of control. And again, that's a feeling. We have to take a look at it and see it as a feeling. If we're afraid to lose something, we're afraid to lose control in some way, generally. And it could be even the control of the stability of how we feel when we're complete. You know? And what I mean by that is when we are at that point where everything is just the way it should be, you know, when life is good, when life is really good, there's complete acceptance happening at that moment for us. And we know that, we just have to take a look at it. So acceptance is like everything being okay, but for most of us it's only short, it's a short period of time when we're very happy and everything is fine. We're in acceptance, and anything that comes up, we can, at that point, we can usually let go of. But that's not necessarily a permanent way of letting go. It's like we have to examine that acceptance again and again and again when it's there, and then the letting go becomes natural for us. And again, this evening we'll take a look at letting go of feelings, particularly the feeling of control. So please make yourself comfortable. Just close the eyes if you like and bring your attention to the breath. Just use the breath to calm you. There were a lot of words said and a lot of things thought about before this moment. Just let all that set aside. And I'm not even asking you to examine your attachments or what might be an attachment, or if there's anything that you should be letting go of in the moment. Just let all that be set aside as well. The ability to let go is very likened to the ability to walk away from something without residue, without any measurement of suffering because we're walking away from something. And this is not only material things or relational things, but also thoughts and ideas, feelings, emotions of all types. And in many ways, one of the biggest attachments we have is that the feeling of control. But what is this feeling of control for many people other than feeling peaceful, feeling complete, and having peace of mind in the moment? So when we have peace of mind, we actually feel like we are in control of the situation, don't we? In other words, we're in control to such an extent that we are accepting everything in the moment. And when a situation happens or something comes up and we don't feel that peace of mind anymore, we can feel agitated or feel as if there's a lack of control. And so we want that feeling back. That feeling that we can control the situation. We can control this moment in time when we are peaceful, when everything is exactly the way it should be to provide that peacefulness for us. And so if we examine the situation, we find that we actually feel as if things in the outer world are causing our unrest. That things outside of us are causing us to be unpeaceful or out of control. Where we no longer have that control. But when we're in a state of peacefulness, and we understand from that state that our peacefulness comes from within, that we feel complete because we feel complete inside, regardless of what is happening outside of our world, outside of us. Then we realize that we do have control almost under all circumstances. Because when we feel complete and have peace of mind and feel happy inside, nothing on the outside can change that. When that is a true factor, when it's a fact in our lives that we have this peacefulness within. And that's generally found within the present moment. But we can have this peacefulness even while we're thinking of the future, planning. And we can have this inner peacefulness when we're thinking about the past, things that have happened. But it comes from a special mind, and a mind that realizes that there is this presence that is happening all of the time. Because in that presence there is nothing to get attached to. Because there's nothing more that can provide peacefulness than what is happening at the moment. So it's not other people, other places, or things that provide our lack of happiness and peacefulness, or the abundance of happiness or peacefulness. It all comes from within, in that realization of that fact. And so this inner world peacefulness is a type of feeling that the Buddha recommended that we discover and dwell in. And that's why he suggested that we meditate to find that and to nourish it, to cultivate it. We can only become attached to things that we feel will take us out of some kind of a control that we have. And that is the control of being complete. We feel an item, an object, a material object will make us happy. Maybe living in a different place, a different environment, different temperature will make us happy. Being someplace different, the lack of feeling stuck in one area will make us happy. Or maybe a different relationship, other people, being around different kinds of people, sharing with other people. Being in love with the right person or being loved by the right person. And so these can cause negative reactions, negative feelings, when they are sometimes present, but when they are wanted and they're not present for us, they can be seen as an attachment, that feeling. And so we feel out of control because we can't have them. And so these are the things that we should identify as attachments. And again, paying very special attention to that inner peace that doesn't rely on objects or people or places. That peacefulness and happiness that is there all the time. And as mentioned, it's almost always found within the present moment. This is the training ground. And the way we explore this presence, this present moment, is by focusing on an object, generally. And that object for many of us is the breath. We become present. We get a taste of this inner peacefulness and this happiness. It comes from within. And then we notice when we're not in that, and why or what the attachment is that's causing it, that disruption in this happiness, this true happiness. And we can usually spot it as a person or a place or a thing or a feeling. And quite possibly in the area of control. and being in control. Okay, let's put our palms together in front of our heart if we like. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. May we have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you. According to the Buddha, anyway, we cannot be attached with the inner joy that we have, that real stuff. And he said that we should cultivate that. We should, that inner peace, that inner joy that we have, which is generally described as the product of meditation, that we should cultivate that and have it and use it and carry around with us, whenever we can, and increase it. And that is the real happiness. But the happiness that we have that relies on outer things, outer people, outer places, and outer objects, that is the kind of happiness that is based on, or can be based on attachment. And so if we think that something out there is providing happiness for us, we will be hurt by it eventually. Either sometime, within this lifetime, or at the end when we die, we have to give it up. Like the love a mother has for their child, And but in a case like that, if we were in meditation and we thought of the peacefulness that we have within, that relationship, not just that relationship for that child, not the child itself being a part of your life, but how it feels within, that happiness that is within from having that experience, then that is the inner happiness, the inner feeling that the Buddha talked about that we should be cultivating. And we usually find that all that peace and that happiness within is the same whether we are, no matter what we're doing, if it's genuine, if it's real. And and that can't be taken away. I mean, we can give away all of our possessions and let go of everything. We still have that happiness within. But the fake happiness, that attachment that we have from things, if we would give something away, we think, I should have not have given that away, and then there's a little bit of an attachment there. So what this means is that we can have things, we can have homes and meditation cushions and cars and places, and have these kinds of things that we enjoy. But if we do it from the standpoint of having an attachment to them, that's when we will get hurt. That's the suffering that the Buddha was talking about. And in meditation, we can kind of experiment with that. We can see and ask ourselves, if this happiness that we have from time to time, or from always, or whatever it is, what is it based on? So we sit in meditation, we focus on the breath, or whatever our meditation object might be. I think for most of us, it probably is the breath. And then we become very present. And in that presence, usually the mind doesn't think about the past or the future, and that's when we are indication that we are present, and that happiness comes up, that joy comes up for us. And it can mistakenly seem like it's the same joy and happiness that comes up when we're thinking about that ice cream cone we're going to have when we're done here, or something like that, you know. But that's where the awareness comes in, you know, to see what is sparking that happiness, that fulfillment, and what I call that feeling of being complete. So, is it real or is it false? You know, is it based on something out there? Is it based on what's inside of us? And it's really based on the feelings. You know, we want to look at our feelings and see if they're real or not. You know, based on the information I just said. Are they something that can be taken away from us, or is it something that is permanent, or something that's fleeting? You know, in a way, that's why we buy, we have things like insurance. You know, we have this peace of mind. I want peace of mind. So I want to be able to lose things and still have that peace of mind. So I'm going to buy some insurance. You know, I'm going to put insurance on my car. If it gets smashed up, I still have that peace of mind because I can still get another car. It's usually still painful. I mean, and that's true with our house and we have life insurance. Oh, I want that peace of mind that I have now, that my loved ones will be taken care of when I die. So I want to maintain that peace of mind, so I'm going to buy life insurance. And then we have that policy and we feel better. But then we have to pay for it, and then we don't feel good about that. But you know, once we pay for it, well, it's for my loved ones, or it's so that somebody isn't burdened with the the funeral expenses or something like that. And so this insurance is really a false cover-up for losing something in the material world that is going to cause an unhappiness for us. This attachment that we have, it's like an insurance on an attachment it's an insurance policy on an attachment. And it's very humorous, you know, to look at it that way, but we're kind of trying to cover all grounds so that we don't lose the little peace of mind that we have. But I think a lot of that, we can discover a lot of this in meditation, and a lot of times I revert back to when we sleep at night. The time that we go to sleep and the time that we wake up, you know, and the reason I take a look at that a lot in my own self is because it's kind of the twilight hours when we go from this conscious mind, this conscious thinking mind, to the subconscious, where the subconscious is almost likened to the dream state. You know, like, what is there? Is there anything there that is disturbing us? So when we drift off to sleep, we can kind of really get an idea of, you know, where the mind goes. If we pay attention to that, where does the mind go for us to find this peace right before we fall asleep? And is it real? A lot of times it's just fantasy, but a lot of times not. A lot of times we can just find that we're meditating ourselves to sleep, you know, from just finding this inner joy within us and going to sleep that way. Sometimes if we're having a rough day, we have difficulty going to sleep because of just the opposite. Our mind is on these troubles, this outside interference, this stuff out there. In the same way, when we wake in the morning, do we wake up with a clear, happy mind? And how long does it stay there? Before the mind goes, oh, this is Thursday morning, and I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to get ready for work or whatever, blah, 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 and then the whole thing starts up again. So it goes from this inner world, to this outer world. And what I'm saying is that we can maintain that inner happiness regardless of what is happening out there. It's just like we have to tune into it. We have to understand it, and whether it's done, through meditation, it's the preferable way of tuning into that, or when we come out of our sleep, we can also tune into that as well before the mental stuff starts kicking in. Take a look at that. Try that tonight when you go to bed, when you go to sleep, and then this morning when you wake up. See what's there. See what's coming up. See what's happening there. Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. We'll do it next week.
Okay.
Same time, same bat channel.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay. Thank you all. Okay.